Welcome, everybody. My name's Tony Morrow, and this is Star Trek Lost Stars. Welcome to Monday, the first day of the week-long daily streams, as we're going to be diving into all sorts of different things. But today, specifically, we're going to talk about the top 3 things that you shouldn't do in order to not lose this game before you get started. And my first reactions, our first reactions, as we look at Turn 71 just got the turn in, and so we'll be taking a look at it, and you'll see my first reactions, and I'll take you through the process that I kind of sort of quickly evaluate what's going on the turn, the thought process, and so on and so forth. But before we get started, if this is all new to you and you have no idea what I'm talking about, then my name is Tony, and this is Star Trek Lost Stars, a 4X game where we, a bunch of players and I, collectively play a game called Federation and Empire online, where we expand or explore new space, expand our borders, exploit new resources, and exterminate the enemies that oppose us. In this game, a Star Trek universe-based game, we are playing the Klingon Empire, and we are using the Federation and Empire rule set to be able to play this game on a platform called Vassal. We play this game online, going back and forth using email, and I will take you through the turn-by-turn process as we go through it. If you want to participate in that campaign, then feel free to jump into the chat, hit that subscribe button, and follow us along on this journey as we're launching out new videos as we go. If you're on Twitch, then you go ahead and you follow us. If you're on YouTube, then please feel free to hit the subscribe button. And if you enjoy this so much that you would even like to support us some more and get involved yourself, then feel free to head over to patreon.com/Lost Stars, and you can see the different ways in which you can get involved. You can either just join the team and participate in weekly Discords where we strategically talk about what we're going to be doing in the game. You can have a ship named after you, take control of a task group of up to 3 ships, control a fleet of up to 10, or even control your own province if you so choose. That's all up to you and how much and how willing you are to support us over at patreon.com/Lost Stars. But if you're the first, if this is your first time joining us here, then I'm just happy you're with us, and let's roll on with what we have. So I've sort of opened it, but I haven't actually taken a look at it yet to be able to see what is on the docket when it comes to the turn. Shall we look at it together? So first thing I do as we get going here, let me just switch this over. First thing I do before we get going is I like to open up the spreadsheet right off the top. So let me take us over to the spreadsheet and the screen capture. Little change here. For those who haven't seen this before, now I've got my my face sort of in the corner of the sheet. Actually going to switch this around a little bit. No, that's not what I want to do. Always exciting. Okay, we'll do it this way. So I might be looking, I'm looking this way, but yeah. Oh dear, I'll have to sort that out next time. Okay, let's take a look at the spreadsheet. Let's zoom in a little bit so you can have a better look at what's going on. So as you can see, we've gone, as we look at this, so we started turn 66, going up to turn 71. Turn 70 is complete. We are at the start of turn 71. Excuse me. We're at the start of turn 71, and this is where we're at. So let's take a quick look on the way back, and we'll just take a look. Oh, my goodness. Transfer. Jeez Louise. Okay. So in turn 66, we had -3 EP. What happened? So we lost... Patriotic fever. All repairs and conversions costs are 0.5 EP less. New production costs are 1 EP less for 1 turn. There was a pirate raid in Papa 8, so we lost 3 EP. Okay, so we built some ships, but they cost less to build, so we came at a little bit less than that, but, I mean, we lost a little bit there, but c'est la vie. The next turn, in turn 67, disease devastates the planet in RR14. Send a hospital ship to hasten the recovery. Now, we can go over this really quickly, but short story is we don't have hospital ships yet. We don't get that until MTech, which is the next level of technology that's coming. Don't have hospital ships yet, so there's nothing we can really do. As we scroll along here, we can see that in turn 69, we suffered 7 EP deficit from a bear economy. Wow, that's not insignificant. Mother. Okay, and then it looks like something recovered, and we're up to 50.5 EP. And right. Okay, let's go down to the notes here. We can see that in turn 66, we completed a C4. C4 is the designation for a dreadnought. And then we started continuing to build dreadnoughts. So you can see in 67, and I went over the, in a previous episode, we went over the process by which we build dreadnoughts in this game. And so effectively, every turn, we apply 3 EP, roll a D6, and that number gets added to the total. The number we're shooting for here is 16. So 6, 9, 14, and then we got to, in turn 70, we completed a dreadnought. And I had designated in my orders, and we can go over this briefly, that the prime team, there would be a prime team that would be completed on the year that the dreadnought was completed. That was in turn 70, as you can see here. So they built the prime team, and it went off. RR14 recovers from its disease, so it recovered in turn 70. That explains our bump in EP. And then you can see that we got some technologies there, and we got some, so we chased off a monster, apparently. And we got 1 research point in construction and 2 in labs for chasing off the monster. Okay, so that's kind of the recap. Let's take a look at the actual map. Boom. Okay. So, ooh. All right. So let's just, okay. So, I mean, I always want to look at my stuff first, but let's just take a look at the Tholians right off the bat. Looks like they got a monster. So we have a number of different counters in this game for monsters. You can see up there in the corner, they've got an amoeba, or it looks like an amoeba. You may remember that there was a Star Trek episode from the original series where basically they encountered a massive single-celled life form that was going through the galaxy. That's effectively what that is as far as a diagram. Now, when it comes to the specific details of the monster, those are specific details that the game master kind of keeps close to his vest and doesn't really tell us about them. Just that there is a monster, and so you have to effectively what ends up happening is you have to identify the monster first. Meaning the ship will go and encounter it. They will try to identify it. And once they can identify it, then you'll know the stats on it. What's its attack, what's its defense, and what it can do. Now, in a previous game, I thought you send all your ships to attack a monster, more the merrier. Now, the thing is, as per the Doomsday device, another monster in Star Trek, some ships or some monsters can attack ships individually. Like, for example, they'll attack them one-on-one, and they can do damage to one ship at a time. There are some monsters, perhaps like the Doomsday device, that can do spread damage, if you want to call it splash damage. Like when they do damage, it affects all the ships concurrently at the same time. I lost an entire fleet of like 10 ships to a monster that did that to me. And I was only able to cripple it. I was flabbergasted. And that was in, I think, the second time we played the game, or second time I played the game. So it was a little devastating. But nonetheless, when we see a monster, the symbol that's there doesn't mean anything. You got to go identify it. Once you identify it, then you can figure out what it can or can't do, and so on and so forth. So they got a monster up there. Nothing really new, other than we can see that they're exploring. And they've got, looks like a base network right up on the border here, and they're a couple hexes away from here. Not too much different from where they were before. So, one of the things that had occurred is I had a base here in Tango 12 where Battle Group Blood had been. Battle Group Blood had been part of a group to be able to conquer this minor planet that was here. And in the turn that the ship attacked this planet, a monster attacked Tango 12. And the problem with that is because it's so far away from where the base was, there was no ability to go back and sort of back it up or provide it support, which is unfortunate and frustrating. So you can see that there are these two crippled ships that are on these base stations here, and that's because they are sort of the casualties from this attack. This attack has conquered this planet. So let me show you. We've got the Klingons here, and we'll go to Battle Group Blood. And in Battle Group Blood, we have a C4, which is the Dreadnought, and we have a total of now 7 remaining F4s. 7, 8, 9, and there was a 10th. It was over here in Tango 12 with the base, which unfortunately was devastated, destroyed with a monster. Unfortunate. C'est la vie. Interesting. Oh, this is interesting. Huh. Okay. So, normally these yellow lines, these yellow hexes that you can see here are markers in the game for our neutral zone. But I see that there's one here, and one here, and one here in these random places. Now, in the previous turn, you might have noticed that there was a wormhole here and a massive fleet sort of in CC20 or somewhere around there. And there had been this big fight. And so I'm trying to figure out what happened to the wormhole or what's going on there. I think that the wormhole still exists. It's just that that space hasn't been explored, so no one knows if it's there. The only reason that we knew it was there was because a whole bunch of ships popped out of there. So Botel 2, you can see here, is moving towards that that hex. You'll also notice that in the previous turn we talked about the border that we negotiate with the Feds and the Tholians, and you'll see also that there's this diagonal line that's been made out between us and the Paravians. So there had been an email back and forth where basically the Paravians mapped out that they were looking at this. Oh, I think I know what that is. Okay, so they've mapped out this sort of border area, and so I just early on agreed to that, and so now that border's in place. I think perhaps these other border hexes are kind of the reference points that, I think they may be the reference points that the Paravians have laid out for their sort of desire for a border. Not sure. I'm looking for where Botel is, because Botel went through this this gravity well and should have come out on the other side somewhere. There's nothing in the notes that I can see. There is a note here about Uniform 11 grew to a developing level, so it's just a bigger planet. Is Botel... I am a little confused. Tango Tango 35. So it should be in Tango Tango 35. Where is Tango Tango 35? Boom. There it is. It's just harder for me to see. Okay, so it just popped up right there. Interesting. Okay. Fair enough. Okay, so Botel popped out there. Interesting. Okay, so what do I do when I first look at the map? Now that we've just taken a quick sort of peek at things. So what's changed? Well, we know that I lost a base. The base construction has continued in the sense that there is now a base down here in Tango 18. There's a base. Is it... there's a base under construction here that will be completed in the year 101 spring, which is this turn 71. That's right here. What else we got? So boom, boom, boom. Nothing built there just yet. This guy's built. Okay, so I think what'll end up happening is we'll have to rebuild that and then start building out some... Oh, goodness gracious. All right, so let's take away the ships and the bases for a sec. So when you look at my map here, you can see that we've got the iconography is a little sort of interesting to look at. So you've got colonies, which their attitude, so you've got the diagram here, which is colony, which is this semicircle with the blue dot in the middle, and then you get the eye next to it. Then you've got a circle with a dot in the middle. Then you've got a circle, and then there'll be more after that. So effectively what we're looking at is a colony, then a developing planet, and then a minor planet, and then there'll be a, I think we call it a medium planet now. Let's just do a quick look here. Economics. So yeah, colony, developing planet, minor planet, medium planet, then a major. So as we look here, you can see that the attitude is important. So indifferent is I, friendly is F, helpful is H, unfriendly U, hostile will be, I guess, a U minus. So, right. So if you're a developing planet, you will not see any significant increase or decrease in your attitude. But if you're a minor planet, you will see a decrease of 0.5 EP if you're unfriendly, and a 50% decrease if they're hostile to you, which basically means civil war. If they're friendly, no change. And if they're helpful, meaning they love you, then you'll see a half-point increase on a on a minor and a medium planet, and then a +1 on a major. So when we look at our map here, we see that these guys are unfriendly. I'm trying to bring them back. Bring them back. So right now they're unfriendly, which means I'm losing half. Actually, I'm not losing anything with them, but I'd like to get them to at least indifferent. And then I gotta bump this one, and I gotta bring these guys back to the middle line. So I think probably the best use of that. Yeah, okay, so he'll have to move here, work on that planet, and then work over there. Bugger lugs. That's a lot. Okay. Let's bring the ships and the bases back so you can see. Right off the bat, let's take a look at EP. So this is what EP is looking like across the board. We can see the Paravians are making 41 a turn. So 41 EP. The Tholians are making 48.5. The Klingons are making 50.5. Feds are making 56 even, and the Borak, which is the guys in the bottom left corner, are making 48. So everyone's kind of within spitting distance of each other, with the Feds certainly leading the way. So we have to check the sort of the state of the economy right off the bat. And the reason why that's important is because the person with the lowest economy goes first. They have what we call initiative. So if you've played any other kind of role-playing game before, you know about initiative. Initiative, if you have the initiative, you go first. And so the person with the lowest economy will go first. In this case, the Paravians, followed by the Borak, then the Tholians, then the Klingons, and then the Feds. So in that order. Now, another thing to look at really quickly is fleet cap. So this is one of those things that if you don't look at this right away, you are going to be in trouble. So we talked about this before in another stream, but let's look real quick here. So the Klingons currently have 40 ships. The Feds have 47. The Borak only have 28. Wow. Okay, the Borak have 28 ships. The Paravians have 33 ships, and the Tholians have 75. Wow, he's really building a lot of ships. Yeah. So the attack and defense factors. You can see the attack factors for the Klingons is 99, with 174 defense factors. The reason why that is a little bit low is because I have 2 ships that are crippled. Once they're not crippled anymore, that'll go up. The Tholians are at 102, 265. Their defense factors are good. The Paravians are low with 86. The Feds are sort of the highest with 125, and the Borak have 119. So considering, and these are defense factors, of course. Sorry, the Feds have 125 attack factor, 211 defense factor. Wow. Right, so the thing to take away from here is if you're looking at my defense factor for the Klingons and you're asking why does that not match your fleet cap, it's because I've got 2 crippled ships. The crippled ships will come off looking like lower defense factor when counting the ships, but it doesn't change the fleet cap. Interesting. Right. Huh. Interesting. Okay. So we looked at fleet cap, we looked at EP, those are the 2 big ones. And now as far as we're concerned with our stuff, let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. So you can see we're making, again, 50.5 a turn. Last turn was a bit of a brutal turn because of that sort of combination of there must have been something that wasn't built then. Interesting. Ah, that's what it was. So in turn 69, I was supposed to build ships because we were at limited war. That build was removed because of the impact of the economy. That is brutal. Okay. Because it was going to be basically 7.5 worth of expenditure. I was going to build the same amount of ships. So basically that build cycle got taken off the docket. That's an example of the game master looking at my priorities and making an adjustment to be able to process a turn. So, because the priority here was building the bases. Lima Lima 10 was the base that was built in that turn. We go back to the map. You can see that in here, Lima Lima 10, this base was built. So the fact the base is built and it's there, that's huge. That's really important. Okay. Well, in today's live stream, we will not be going through the exact, we won't be completing the turn today. This is just a sort of a reaction and first impression of what you see. Let me let me ask you, as I just take a quick look here at the chat. Hey, there we go. There's some chat in here. Let me just take a quick look. Want to become famous? No. Want to become famous? No. That's wonderful. So, bigfollows.com. What a waste of time. And let me head over to YouTube. All right. So, some folks watching, but no comments as of yet. So what do you think? What do you think? If you're watching this maybe after the fact, put in the comments, what do you think of where we're at? Let's look, as we look at the spreadsheet, you know, we're at 50.5 on the EP. We look at the map on how we're doing. You know, things are progressing, but definitely we need to sort of develop this little pocket here. That's just because I lost it because of that monster. Man, I'm not loving that. And the need to be able to, oh, what's in the home fleet? Klingon home fleet, where are we at? Okay, it's my D4. Okay. Okay, so here's the situation. What do you think of what you see? The border that we've made, let me zoom out on the map so you can see the full sort of look here. So you can see that we've effectively carved out basically a quarter of the map. Now the challenge here is the Tholians and the Paravians and the Borak effectively are going to have more access to more map, period. They're just going to have bigger, better access to stuff, which is frustrating. Now, that being said, let's not look a gift horse in the mouth. There are 5 players on the map, and right now it looks like we've got a good quarter, a little bit less than a quarter-sized chunk of the map. Now, it's perfectly reasonable based on the location of, for example, the Tholians, the map, the border that we have with them, perfectly reasonable. It's almost equidistant exactly from where they are and where we are. The Feds, that's based completely on the location of that wormhole and where it popped up. That wormhole is a quick and easy backdoor to our homeworld, so we got to make sure that we do everything we can to keep that safe. And then, of course, the border with the Paravians. So the thing, when I look at this map, and I kind of, my first reactions are, again, let's look at if we look at the fleet cap, our fleet cap is low. Sorry, I should say their ship count is low. We've got 40 ships. Feds have 47 ships. The Tholians have 75 ships. And the way I'll look at that is not only do the number of ships that they have so high, but they have, and I know they don't have a lot of attack factors, but they have 265 defense factors. That's a lot. So, and I know that the Tholian ships are probably cheaper to build based on the fact that they're low attack, reasonable defense. So they probably have a lower price to build, but Tholian ships have this special ability to basically, I think they call it pinwheeling. So if you want to think of it that it's like Voltron, the ships combine to form a bigger, better ship, or basically they combine to form this pinwheel shape, and like the back ends combine, 3 of them combine to form this sort of triangle shape, and it makes them more defensively. They can't attack anymore, but it makes them very very effective defensively. And so if you're attacking them, it just makes it hard to get any ground. The big thing here in that case is they just have a lot of numbers, and we as the Klingons, we want to be able to have maybe not more ships than the Tholians, but we certainly want to have more ships than we have now. Right now we are below, well, I mean, I guess you could argue we're average, but we are below the average of our neighbors. We've got one neighbor who's within spitting distance of us. They have 47, we have 40. Another neighbor, the Tholians, with 75, and then another neighbor with 33. Now, I think the reason why they have 33 as opposed to, let's say, 40, they lost a whole bunch of ships in a big fight that they just had around that wormhole. And one of the things, actually, let me share with you. So, as I mentioned before, in a previous stream, we previously had 6 players in this game. We lost a player, and you can tell that by the map. Basically, there's a big hole in the map. And so one of the ways that we got around that, or sort of like saved the game, you might say, is we introduced a... I'm just trying to find the email here. Okay. So we introduced another faction into the game. They're called the Juggernaut. So in the Federation and Empire universe, there is a species or a race of highly advanced, very powerful faction, and all their ships they're called the Juggernauts, and all their ships are just big, bad, and they just beat the bejesus out of you. I've never faced them. You could find them in Starfleet battles if you've ever played Starfleet battles, and or again Federation and Empire. But we've included these guys now into the game, and they're basically like we'll call them like a Borg type faction. They're really just there to cause havoc. And so how this faction was introduced was through this email chain the game master originally sent out, and he sent out this. The 4 ships finished their transit and turned their sleek forms towards the galactic south. On board the larger Wraith, the gold-plated leader viewed the galactic plot before ordering the squadron to move in search of targets. Great. Watching the 19 warp traces on the plot, some of them apparently damaged, the gold leader makes a quick calculation and orders the other ships ahead. Each powers up their energy weapons and shields for the coming fight. The other commander sends his damaged ships forward first to test the intruders, who quickly dispatch them, but at the cost of the liches. I'm assuming that's a kind of ship. The mass firepower of the numerous opposing ships bringing down the main shield before tearing into the bowels of each ship in turn. With the reduction in firepower, the leader determines that his force will lose, but not before destroying another pair of ships. So this was the email chain that came out. It was this was with regards to the battle that occurred in and around that wormhole that we saw briefly. And I'm just trying to find the original email. The Enchilada program. Oh no, that's something else. I think this is it. Yeah. The last of the 3 sleek ships finished their transit, the larger Fenrir, or Fenrir, bringing up the rear. Another few moments were required for their advanced sensors and scanners to come online. Electronic tendrils reached out seeking similar beings. Finding nothing within their threat radius, the Fenrir commanded one of the liches to go forth and chart a course coreward. So this was the first email that we had received with regards to this unknown enemy. And then that's when they were encountered. So the thing here is, or the question here, is they were encountered right here at CC19. And as you can see, as it is right now, we are within pretty close spitting distance of that. Botel is currently on its way to that, and I've already spoken with or had interactions with the Paravians to indicate that we're sending ships towards that wormhole to investigate, because first of all, we can transit the wormholes, and it looks like we're the only ones that can at this point. So we want to find it and find out where it goes. And then if it is So in the original history of the Klingon Empire, we talked about the Old Kings, and that the Old Kings, this highly advanced technological race, had subjugated and enslaved the Klingon people, or the Klingon species. They had been using Klingons as soldiers and warriors in a galactic war against an unknown enemy that they began losing against. And so this unknown enemy is still potentially out there because, for all intents and purposes, the Old Kings lost that fight. The only reason the Klingons were able to rise up is because, effectively, the Old Kings were no longer able to maintain a force to subjugate them. So with that being the case, the role-playing piece here is that the Klingon Empire is hearing word of an advanced series of ships. So the question is, are those the remnants of the Old Kings, or are they the unknown enemy? Either way, we need to find out. If they are the Old Kings, then the Klingons have a major beef with the Old Kings and will do anything and everything they can to wipe them from the face of the galaxy. So find out if those are them. If it is, kill them, basically. Like, we will do everything we can to wipe them from existence. However, if it is the unknown enemy of the Old Kings, they decimated or were strong enough to take out the Old Kings, it's important for us to be able to figure that out and find out if we can take them on for all intents and purposes. We need to identify them and assess how dangerous is this threat. So in that case, it's really important that we start moving ships towards them and identify this location. So in that regard, I'm going to send ships and fleets out in that direction to do everything I can to explore and discover that area. So I throw this to you. At the homeworld here, we have just built a C4. We have a dagger team. We're the prime team. Let me go back to the, let me just explain the survey calculations here. So for, where are we here? Operations. So when we're looking at ships and the sizes of ships, the size of the ship, a size class 4 ship is small, 3 bigger, 2 bigger, and so on. So if you are a survey ship, you can see here, you have a +2. Let's go. Okay, so first of all, ships exploring. At the very beginning here, so we have these hexes, which are fog of war hexes. And if we're going to discover them, then we need to roll on a die 6. You do not discover anything. You don't lift the fog of war if you roll between a 1 and a 4. You are successful if you hit a 5 or 6. Now, if you're a survey ship, you get a +2 on that roll, which means instead of it being like a 30% chance, it becomes a 60% chance. If you have a prime team embarked, then you have another +1. So it's +3, meaning that you are effectively, so it's a +3, which means it becomes a 5 out of 6 chance that you're gonna find something. There's a modifier when it comes to technology, and I'm not sure why I can't see it right now. It's here somewhere. But basically, you have a negative modifier until you get MTech, and then it's a non-issue. Oh, here it is. So W and Y labs, you get a -1 to that roll. And so once you get MTech, you don't have that -1. That's effectively the difference. So a size 2 class ship is what a dreadnought is. So it now gets a +1. And if you put a prime team on there, it's a +2. So you effectively get a 60% chance to explore versus a 50% chance to explore if you have a cruiser. But if you have an exploration cruiser, so for example, a survey ship, you get a +2, plus the prime team is a +1. So then you get a 5 out of 6. But again, you have the lab penalty because we don't have MTech yet. So it's a 50-50 shot on the exploration ships. With the dreadnought, having a plus a +2, then the Dreadnought will have a 50-50 chance, and the Exploration ship will have a 60% chance. That's basically where we're at. So those, if we look at the map again here, you'll see that the C4 up here has the prime team, and so I think it's probably a good idea to get, seeing as this C4 down here has a prime team, and that C4 has a prime team, get those guys down here and start exploring as fast as we can to get to this location. And we have a T4, which is a tug, which is the kind of ship that can build bases. So we'll have this ship build bases to provide supply, basically to allow us to build ships, allow us to have ships that can explore this area, and then once we've explored to that location, go for it. Like we'll have a supply network to that location so we can attack. But we got to build up a fleet in the meantime, because if they are, first of all, an enemy, an advanced enemy, then we need to make sure that we have a sizable fleet, assuming that they're going to be bigger, better, stronger than we are. We got to have a good size fleet of ships to be able to encounter them. So what do you guys think about our build strategy? Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and I'll show you what we got. So right now we have a cruiser slipway, which can build one cruiser in the spring, which, by the way, 71 is a spring turn. You can see here 71 is 101 spring, 72 is 101 fall. So we can build a cruiser and 3 destroyers and 3 frigates in that turn, and then we can build 3 destroyers and 3 frigates in the fall. And so that's kind of the construction cycle. Now we can build more slipways. We can build another cruiser slipway that'll cost 25 EP to do. Maybe we won't do that right now, but we can continue to build more ships to be able to go down there and beat them up. So that's something to think about. Let's take a quick look at our R&D. So currently you can see that we, up to turn 70 here, which is where we're at. We're going to do turn 71 here in a moment. So up to turn 70, this is where we're at. We're going to get MTech. So the things we need for MTech are construction, which we'll get in 103 fall. Phasers, so phaser 1s, which we'll get in 104 fall. We'll also get our heavy weapon, which if you go back to the original series for Klingons, is the Disruptor, not the Photon. So the Disruptor, we're going to get that in 104 fall. Speed, 104 spring. Tractor beams, 104 fall. We've already got the labs. Oh, that's awesome. So we already have MTech labs, which means our ships are now at a much better opportunity to be able to explore. That's huge. And then the transporters is 105 spring. So how this works is for every one of these research points you apply, and we're going up to turn 75. So let's say we applied them all up to 75. It would be 102 fall. So 102 fall is there. So basically we're going to get MTech in 103 spring. That's basically what it is, because that's the last technology in MTech, and we'll get MTech in 103 spring. So here's the question. If we're going to be getting it within the next 5 years, not even 5 years, in the next 5 turns, then should we, instead of spending money on building a whole bunch of Y-Tech ships that aren't going to be any good, should we maybe hold off, upgrade our slipways when we get MTech, and then just start building MTech ships like crazy? Because Klingons, there are some races or factions that can just upgrade their ships. It doesn't matter whether they can go from W to Y, Y to M. But if we're going to be reaching M at that point, let's just take a quick look at, so all the stuff in red here are ships that we can't build yet, but they are MTech ships. So little things to think about. 1, the nominal date for, nominal being the date of introduction for MTech ships traditionally looks to be 119. 119 or 120. I have to confirm. I think it'll probably be 119. So that means that the year that we get MTech will be the equivalent of 119 on this calendar. And then so what ends up happening is that all the other ships come out after that. So you can see here, oh, and that's frustrating. Oh, yeah. So you can see here that the E4 and the F5. So the E4 is, oh, look at this, E3s. So E4s and E3s are the kinds of escorts or frigates that we get to build early. They'll come in 120, and the E3 is a 3 attack, 3 defense versus an E4, which is a 4 attack, 3 defense. Interesting. So the E4 costs 2.5 to build, and like I say, 4-3, which is interesting because the F5, which is a destroyer, is a straight up 4. Interesting. That ship isn't going to be available until 134. So we've got all these frigates, but we can't build them at MTech level. Make sense? Let's go quickly up to the D6 and the D7. These are our cruisers. So you can see that the D6 is a ship that we can build in 121, so a couple years after. The D7, which is the heavy hitter, doesn't come until 134. So if we build another cruiser slipway, maybe from one of the frigate slipways that we can't, as of right now, use, we could build a D6, which has a straight 7, which is a straight 7 ship. That'll be available in 121. So just thinking ahead here, right? Instead of when we need to start pumping out ships en masse, obviously we're going to be pumping out E3s and E4Ms. Those are the ships that are going to be available to us. We won't be able to pump out a bunch of F5s because F5s won't be available until 134. Basically, F5s will come with our D7s. Frustrating. The updated tug, the TGB, battle tug, which is a 4-8 ship. Oh, what's this? Oh, it's a 165. So 123, we get the quote-unquote battle tug, and that'll be a 4-8 ship. Interesting. The pods that it comes with, something to think about. Troop pods, battle pods. This is the one. Battle pods give you a +2 attack, so it can carry 2 battle pods, which means a tug can become a straight 8 ship. And each one of those battle pods gives it, I believe, yeah, so it gives it a +2 command rating, which means that a tug can become the equivalent of a dreadnought when it comes to command factors if you give it 2 battle pods. Boom. It also has a drone pod, which is going to come much, much later. And repair pod, but those are going to be quite a ways away. Let's see here. So we got D6, D7s. We already talked about that. Now, here's the kicker. This is what we want. This is why we wanted to build those C4s. So the C4B is the upgraded version of what we have as the C4, right? C4Bs have a straight 8. They're not a 6-8. They're a straight 8. And they can be upgraded from a C4, which is huge. Only for 3. That's really good. That's really good. So a C4B can be upgraded to, a C4 can be upgraded to a C4B, which is a straight 8 ship. And then the C6 is the dreadnought, and that comes available to us in 150. Ugh. All right, let's take a quick look. This is all just planning, right? Just kind of thinking about things. I want you to take a quick look at the economics here for the slipways. So a DN slipway, which is what we'd need to build, we can only build one of them, and you can only build one a year. And it would be built in the fall. So the DNs, it costs 40 EP to build a DN slipway. Ouch. Let's take a quick look at our tech, R&D, construction, slipways, construction, M slipways, and then DN slipways are still a ways off. So we... yeah, we won't be able to build a DN slipway anytime soon. All right. So that's where we're at. Something to think about. So just as a quick reminder to everybody for the streaming schedule for the week, you'll see if you're on YouTube that there is a scheduled stream that is coming up tomorrow at 8 o'clock Pacific time, which is what the time is that we're coming up to right now. It's currently 7:52 my local time here Pacific, and we're coming up to 8 o'clock. That'll be the time that the next stream will start tomorrow. On Tuesday, which is tomorrow, there will be a stream at 8 o'clock in the evening. There will also be another stream on Wednesday at 8 o'clock in the evening. On Thursday, we'll go back to 7 o'clock. And then at Friday, there will be a stream at 2:30, same timing as we have on the weekends. The intention of these streams over the course of this week is to walk you through the planning process of how we're going to be going over all this stuff and figuring out how we sort of go or follow my thought process as I go through kind of developing this turn. With, of course, the whole plan here being that I want you to be able to jump in and to be able to do, to be able to participate and do these turns with me if you so feel like it. So the three traps, the thing about starting this particular stream was avoid these three traps, when starting your turn and start planning to win the game. So what are those three traps? Well, we started off right off the bat, which was you need to look at the fleet cap. So you need to look at the fleet cap and see where you are for ships, because the number of ships that you have in your fleet is important. And one of the mistakes I made early in the first game that I played was this mistake I made around doing a tech rush. For all of you who've played any strategy games, you can build wide, you can build tall, you can do a tech rush, or you can just overwhelm people with numbers. You've seen various different games, from turn-based games like Civilization to StarCraft or Warcraft, or there's lots of other games out there, Age of Empires, whatever it may be, Total War, lots of games where you can do a tech rush and that gives you a big advantage. I did a tech rush in the first time we played this game, and it gave me a temporary advantage. But the problem was, the biggest challenge I had was I had a very small number of ships that were really good, but I only was able to spearhead them or focus them on one tiny spot. And the guy I was facing had just far more ships, just a greater number of ships. And what ended up happening is that there was a war of attrition. I would end up losing ships in battles. He would lose a couple of ships, but he had way more ships. It was far less impactful. They cost less to replace. And he was just able to fill the gap more than I was able to. So I ended up losing that fight in the long term. The advantage of having a large number of units to be able to throw at the enemy early on is huge, which is why the Tholian number of 75 worries me, because this player, Dave, and I have had a history of these games together where at some point he comes at me. Usually because I seem like a soft target to him at some point. And so I'm very concerned about that in this game. And while he certainly doesn't have the technological capability to do it right now, he could do it in the near future. Well, medium future, we'll say. So keeping an eye on the fleet cap and making sure that you're not falling behind on the total hulls or total number of ships that you have. The total number of ships also really comes into play when you're trying to defend bases, because if a base, such as a YBS or YDK, is damaged or crippled basically in a fight, it can't repair the ships that are based there. One of the biggest advantages or ways that you win a war is the logistics of making sure that you can go into a fight, bloody the other guy's nose, but make sure that you can go back and get healed up for the next fight. If you can do that so that you come into each fight fresh and the opponent does not, then you're going to win that fight. And one of the advantages of being on the offensive and having the initiative and putting the fight on their doorstep is you're able to damage their infrastructure, their bases, to the point where they can't repair those ships at those bases. And that becomes a huge advantage for the attacker. In this case, even if we don't have M-Tech ships, if we just have Y-Tech ships, just the fact that we have hulls allows us to be able to prevent them from attacking those bases by something called pinning, and we can talk about that in the next live stream. But there is a technique that you can use to prevent them from actually getting to your base. But you have to have the numbers to make that happen. And the only way we're going to make that work, all of us, is if we've got the ships to make that happen. So that's the kicker. We've got to have the slipways to be able to build the ships to get that done. Which is going to be exciting. So slipways. Second thing you got to watch and be mindful of is EP. EP spells out initiative. You need to understand where you are in the pecking order, where you are in the initiative, and who's going to fight whom when. For example, if you've got an opponent who's your neighbor and they have initiative, you need to make sure that you write your contingency orders, something that we'll talk about later this week when we're going through how we prepare each turn. You have to write out your contingency orders, or basically the conditions of what you'll do if this thing happens. Because if they have the initiative and attack you, you need to make sure that you've sort of written out a reaction or a response plan so that you're not caught flat-footed. And that's the biggest challenge with not having initiative. If you have the initiative, then you always get to set the pace. You get to set the tone of when the attacks or the battles happen. And it's one of the hardest pieces in this game to get your head wrapped around, is to be able to write contingency orders. In the first game that I played, I went up against Dave, and that was by far the hardest piece initially for him to manage with me. Was I was so aggressive with him, and he was always he was always reacting. Now the problem is, he got really good at writing those contingency orders as a result of me constantly pushing the initiative. Now, because of that, he got really good at it, so he's good at writing contingency orders. That is no longer a weakness of him as a player. So I need to be very conscious of that, or we need to be very conscious of that. The player in the middle, the Paravians, the bird people, that player, Mike, he also is fairly decent at contingency orders, but hasn't necessarily had a lot of instances where he doesn't have the initiative. And as you can see here, he currently has initiative. And the third player that we have is the Federation. These are all the ones that border us. The Feds are played by a guy by the name of Andre. And Andre is, I don't know, he's a big question mark. I haven't played with Andre really before in this game, so I don't know how he will play and how that's all going to pan out. Some players are far more sort of into the role-playing aspect of things. Some just play their personality. There was a player last game who basically did that as well. Just played his personality, and it was interesting. Yeah, it's just a matter of learning and understanding the other players and being sort of mindful of what could happen. So we'll have to have that discussion as we go on and go through this particular turn. So the three things I talked about, the first one was the fleet cap, the second one was the EP, and then the third is being able to understand and plan ahead for your tech and what to build. So what I was talking about when we were talking about the research and development tree and understanding when we're going to get M-Tech versus, for example, what techs are going to be helpful for us and what we can build when. We have these current slipways right now, which are the cruiser slipway in the the spring, and then the destroyer and the frigate slipways, and then what's going to happen when we get the next tech level up, and how are we going to build that? Is it better to spend money now on bases to project our power and build out our supply network? I would argue yes. Versus building ships in the short term, because those ships won't necessarily provide us a significant advantage. Or maybe they will. We're getting to a point now with our economy with 50 EP where we can start being a little bit more mindful about, or a little bit more flexible in how we're spending it and what we're spending it on. We'll discuss later this turn how we're going to allocate our money and what we're going to build when. But it's going to be really important for us to be able to plan from turn 71 all the way to turn 75 and figure out what we're going to do. Remember, we're going to get MTech in turn 75, so it's going to be important for us to figure that out. And then lastly, just the last piece to consider, and this is sort of like a bonus, in the specific context of this game and the role-playing for this particular race or faction, as the Klingons, the thing we need to be able to look out for is that wormhole and that high-tech opponent. So not necessarily thinking about the other players specifically, although, of course, we're always mindful of that. From a role-playing perspective, it's very important for us to identify who those are, who the faction is. And if that means that we have to build out a supply network to be able to access that location, CC19, then that's what we'll do. We'll figure that piece out, and we'll work out an arrangement between the Tholians and the Paravians to be able to get to that hex. Because as of right now, we have an agreement, a border agreement with the Tholians that goes up to 19, and the Paravians that goes to Echo 20 down. So the question is, can we make an arrangement whereby we're going to go through Echo 19 into the Delta and Charlie columns to be able to get to that specific location, and will everybody play nice with us to do that? We'll just see. But yeah, so in the next episode, we will, as I'm working out the back end here. In the next episode, we're going to be working on the specifics of planning our logistics effectively. Like, we're going to plan out the budget and figure out what we're going to build and when. We're going to talk about the strategy, our strategic goals, and our vision and our intent. We've kind of discussed that a little bit here today, but we're going to be talking about what the sort of the goal of the Klingon Empire is here. What are your comments? What are your suggestions? What do you want to see happen? I want to see you on these live streams, participate in the chat, let me know what it is that you want to do, and we can collectively, as a team, move in that direction. Again, just from the role-playing aspect, we're focusing on the big bad unknown, and then, of course, we just got to be mindful of our other players, because at the end of the day, this is a war game, and it's about taking out your opponents. How are we going to do that, or how are we going to prevent them from doing it to us? So, all sorts of things to think about. Looking forward to seeing you. Brain fart. Looking forward to seeing you in the next episode. That'll be tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Remember, Star Trek Lost Stars, you can find us. If you're looking for us, you can find us on Twitch. If you're looking for us, you can find us on YouTube at Star Trek Lost Stars. Do a little search for that. Put in the Star Trek Lost Stars full thing to be able to find us. And you'll be able to find our live streams again every day this week and at varying times. If you can be kind enough, feel free to put in the comments what time works best for you and when you want to be able to see us on the live stream. Is the Saturday timing at 2:30 working for you? Would you prefer another time of day to see that live stream? Would it be better in the evening? Would it be better in the morning? Would it be better on another day? Would you prefer Sunday, not Saturday? Would you prefer this schedule, which is every day this week we're doing a live stream? I'm not sure if we can maintain that in the long run. But if you want it, then we'll find a way to be able to make that happen for you if it's something that you're really wanting. And again, you're commenting and interacting with us, part of our community. Lastly, if you could be so kind, if you're finding this content entertaining and you want to see more of it, then please, give us a thumbs up or a like, hit the subscribe or the follow button, And if you are so inclined, please head over to Star Trek Lost Stars. Try that again. Head over to patreon.com/Lost Stars and see if there's a way there that you would like to support this channel and this game moving forward. Whether you just want to participate and be part of the Discord, or whether you want to actually take control of a ship, a task group, a fleet, or a province, you let me know. Whichever level or way that you would like to support us, from the like and subscribe to the to becoming a patron on patreon.com/Lost Stars, it's up to you. But either way, we'd love to see you as part of our community, just here as a member, subscribed, and participating in the comments. That's the best way that you can tell us what it is that you want to do and how you want to move this campaign forward. So until tomorrow at 8 o'clock, we'll be coming to you live, 8 o'clock Pacific time, here on Twitch and on YouTube. You can find us on both, and we'll see you we'll see you tomorrow at 8 o'clock.